Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rockstar 101. His name is Brandon. He is the DJ with that stupid face.
His name is Shim. He's the rock star, and he's making fun of my smile. If
That's
you're
not a
watching this
smile.
on,
That's not a smile.
are we live? Are we live on Discord right
We
now?
are
while
live
we're
on
doing this one?
Discord.
Okay, so we're live on Discord, and if you're watching this on a replay on like YouTube or something, you'll see that's my smile. And I was telling Shim that's my actual smile. Why do you have to make fun of me?
That's not real. That can't be. When you're at KLAQ and you've got a band in and someone's like, "Hey, jump in the band photo with the fan," and there's a fan.
I hop right in.
Yeah, that's not your smile. That can't be
No.
your smile. You're an asshole.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh my God, I do have to get a picture of my wife's fake smile.
Right.
Because she did the modeling thing for a while.
Right.
And she was like, "Do you want to see my fake smile?" And it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it's a legit. It makes me laugh every goddamn time. But anyway, we got a lot of stuff that we need to cover today.
Yeah.
We're going to eventually, as I've popped on Twitch, you can follow me over on Twitch. It's at The Real Brandalorian Shim. You can find him at Hollywood Rebellion. We've both been playing video games. And I'm having a lot of people who watch both of our streams say, we need to do it together. Like, we need to throw down on some games. We need to throw down.
You gotta throw down.
And I heard what are you playing, Warzone? You playing Call of Duty?
At the moment, I'm playing Call of Duty Warzone. That only happened because one of my hardcore rebels, Dale, was the highest gifted sub giver of for a month, and the prize was to play games with me for an hour. And he chose that game, and I've never played it, so I had to load I've never played those types of games where you're online with another person and you're.
Oh, you
you're
never
a team.
played like
No.
a first-person shooter, like multiplayer?
No, dude, no, I never had the chance to do it. I never had time. Never really had any friends that did that like sort of thing, like that were like, "Yo, let's do it." But now I've got the Xbox. I'm on Twitch. You put it all together. I'm like, all right. Oh, it was so bad. Luckily, Dale was fucking bad too, and we just died time and time again for an hour until we got my mod Sean in, and basically we just sucked for an hour, and Sean came in and saved our ass for half an hour, and then I was like, all right, I need to start practicing. I guess that's it.
Well, then we need to start throwing down
playing games.
Because essentially what I did is, I think it was right around New Year's. They had a special on, and I think I've talked about it on this podcast too, is they had a special on the Star Wars games. And so I've been hopping on playing mostly Star Wars Battlefront, but I do have Warzone, and all of my friends play Warzone because that's what we did. Man, we would play till all hours of the morning, playing Battlefield or Call of Duty or Halo or whatever it may be. So it's going to get to the point where you and I, we're going to have to set up some time here so that we can, and maybe you can simulcast it. Like you're on your Twitch, I'm on my Twitch, and then if people want to see my screen, they can log into mine. If they want to see your screen, they can go log into yours, and we can kind of do a simulcast,
right?
Kind of a thing. But anyway, because there's a whole lot of other things involving video games that we may or may not get to this episode. But one of the things I really wanted to bring for this episode is what I've started to do is I've jumped on Spotify, and I'm starting to create playlists. And or I should say one playlist so far at this point, at least in regards to this. And it's the best rock music from a specific year. Mm-hmm. And I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to let you know what my tentative rules are right now. I'm going to let you know how it's going. So I started with 1995 because that was the first, I think it was really the first CD I bought that I listened to over and over and over again, and that was White Zombie's Astro Creep 2000. Because that was released in 1995. So what I've done is I picked 1995 as the year, and the stipulations are it just has to be a rock album that was released. Originally, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe if a single was released in 95, but the album wasn't released until 96, or maybe the album was released in 95. But I nipped all that stuff in the bud.
Right.
So it's essentially the album has to have been released in 95, and I can pull, and it doesn't have to be a single per se. I think most of the singles are making it. But
most of the singles are
the one
making
thing
it?
I've noticed about 1995, that was a strange year for rock because you had still a lot of bleed over from the 80s. The grunge movement was already starting to die out. Like it was very short-lived. And by 1995, a lot of that stuff was already, I think you could pretty much say it was starting already on the way down. But here's some of the big bands with albums that came out that year. Are you ready?
Right.
So we had Allison Chains, their self-titled album that came out that year. That's
Really?
one of the big ones.
Okay.
Bush, 16 Stone. That was one of the big albums. Collective Soul, the album, you've got The World I Know, which somehow I got multiple versions. I'm looking at the playlist right now.
All right, hold on. I need you to hold on 1 second. I've got a technical problem over here that I think I need to figure out.
Do?
I don't know what I did. I fucked something up. I'm going to need to stop recording and reset this for a second, so hold on. We're recording again, and you were talking about the Bush album, or the Allison Chains album.
Yes! Technical difficulties, we are back! So, 1995... It was a weird year. We were on Bush, 16 Stone came out. That was their huge album that had everything Zen and Come Down and Glycerine and Little Things on it.
Glycerine.
But what's interesting is you start to see, this is when bands like the Deftones and Incubus were starting to emerge. But the problem is with Incubus, Fungus Among Us was the album that was released that year.
Right.
It's not on Spotify. At least as far as I can tell. Fungus
Among Us is not on Spotify?
I don't believe so. Let me look it up here really quick. But I don't believe
the only way that
Incubus
could happen. I think, and I'm happy to be corrected. I think the only way that can happen is if Fungus Among Us was an indie release, and then they got uplifted to a major label.
Well, I think Fungus Among Us was.
Yeah.
Wait, what is this? Yeah. See, everybody has playlist because some of the songs that were on something like Fungus Among Us ended up on. Oh shoot! What was the album that came out? It was like it's right after that, and I think it was '97.
Science.
What's that?
Science.
No, it was before Science, and it was didn't have a whole lot of tracks on it.
I don't know that one. There's Fungus Among Us and then Science.
Enjoy
right?
Incubus is what it's called.
Oh fuck! You're right. I forgot about that.
So there's that had some of the same
Incubus
songs like
ever,
"You Will Be a
forgot
Hot Dancer," "Take Me to Your Leader," you know.
Yeah.
And then, but Science also came out in '97, so there's gonna be a lot of Incubus coming up in 1997. So anyway, so this playlist, it's all 1995. Mad Season. I've talked about Mad Season multiple times on this podcast, and it was kind of that super group that had Lane Staley on vocals.
Yep.
And so I got to put some of those in there as well. There was a couple of bands I was battling with. The first one really was Oasis. Do they count? They do, right?
Well, do they count as what?
Rock. Like if I'm making this rock of 1995.
Yeah, you're not making
playlist.
You're not making metal. It's not a metal or an alternative rock. It's just rock in general. If it's rock in general, and you've got, back in the beautiful days when bands like Allison Chains were on the top 20 and top 10 in the pop charts, and Oasis was too, and they had guitars and they were a rock band. I think that rock. If you're just going general rock, because the truth is there are a lot of people who will enjoy Incubus that will also enjoy Oasis, that will also enjoy Deftones. And that's one of the things that people who love hard rock get a bee in their bonnet about, that like if you get that people who like hard rock don't want to get pigeonholed into, well, what, I love fucking Sabbath and Dream Theater and Pantera and Deftones and Oasis, and maybe I want to put in a little fucking Spice Girls once in a while when I'm with my lady. What the fuck, like that they love music and that they're. I find that with guys who like rock, like metal, unless you're like a deep like butt rock dude or something, and then it goes into like country and Americana.
Oh, the butt rock.
Yeah, the butt rock thing as well. But like metal guys,
metal
guys who are into metal are usually, well, guys and girls who are into metal, they're usually intelligent. People usually think like, oh, they're stupid because it just sounds like noise, but they're actually more often
I think they've done studies that say that people who are into heavy metal are generally more intelligent, and I believe they're also more compassionate.
Yeah, 100%. And then, so to say that they wouldn't like Oasis or that you shouldn't put that in there, it's like you're talking about rock music for people that love music from 95. I wouldn't limit it.
Well, see, and that's the thing is I'm trying to find where the line is, because so here's the other big album.
TLC
These are the big. What's that?
TLC is the line.
Okay, this ain't going to be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame where Whitney fucking Houston's getting in. All right, I know where to cut the line there.
Right.
So I'm getting feedback now.
Oh, shit. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going. Just trying to fix
So the
one
big
thing.
albums you had, Allison Chains, like I said, their album Bush, 311. That's when their self-titled album with Down.
Dude,
That was
I
the big hit.
destroyed that record. I listen to that all the time, dude.
Deftones, they released Adrenaline in 1995, and don't forget Filter, Short Bus, their debut album.
It's a good year. It's a good year. I think we should be discussing these like a fine wine. We should do a little
just
taste
wait.
and-
We
yeah.
haven't even gotten to the big ones yet.
Okay.
Well, okay, those are some of the big ones.
Okay.
But here's one of the more odd ones. I'll get to the big ones here in a minute. I included No Doubt.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I figured because they were
Dude, they're a rock band.
ska, and I put ska, and like if like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. I think '97 was when their big hit. Crap. Now I'm completely blanking on the damn.
Yeah, but now it's going to
the impression that I get.
The impression that I get.
Yeah, you never had to knock on wood. That one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll include that when I get to 1997.
Were you surprised when that song became a hit? I was surprised when that song became a hit. I mean, it's a good song, but it's like I didn't think it was like a number one global fucking hit. I was like, this is a ska song with a weird verse and a good hook at the end of the chorus. Like, this shouldn't be number one. It should be a cult hit. Instead, it was fucking global domination. I remember thinking, what the fuck?
Well, I think a band like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, they were very cult for a while because the ska thing was popular in certain areas. I know down in California, there was a big ska scene down there. But at that time, that was kind of when that was peaking. Right. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff that would occasionally kind of get into the charts, and that was, I think, kind of at its peak right there. Some of the other ones, the Presidents of the United States of America.
Oh my God, I drove that album. I must have bought it twice. I ran it to death. I listened to every song, dude.
This is one of those years. Like I'm saying,
you know what's funny? It's interesting that you picked this year because I think this is the year that I discovered music. Like I had been into music.
Do you know why?
Yeah, I know exactly.
What was the biggest album for you in 1995?
It was 4. There were 4 albums, and I'll tell you exactly why if I haven't told you this story before. Okay, and there's a reason.
You
it was
have
4 at the same. I have.
And
told
I know
you.
Because I believe they're all on the list.
Oh yeah, they better be. They fucking better be. But yeah, MTV.
Well, as long as I can
it was
remember
MTV
two.
Music Awards. It was the MTV Music Awards or Music Video Awards of '95. And it was the first time that I had, maybe because I was in Australia, but we didn't have MTV in Australia, so it was played on one of the 5 channels that we had for free. We didn't even have cable back then, and I recorded it and I watched it, and I went into my dad at the end of the night and said, "Dad, I'm going to be a rock star," and he was like, "Okay, you're going to need to learn how to sing," and I said, "Why?" And he was like, "Well, you better learn how to sing. Like most of the time you can't just play guitar or just play drums. You'll just have to join another band, and then it's up to the universe. Whereas if you can sing and write songs, then
you're kind of controlling more of your own
control the
fate.
situation." And also because he was like, "Well, you can't do anything else. So if you're going to start from scratch, you may as well learn how to sing. You can't play guitar. You can't play
do
drums,
nothing else.
You're
Stupid.
going to start. You may as well fucking sing." So I watched that, and it was Silverchair, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Live, and Green Day. Those were the 4 bands, and so
Live. That was the one. And that was the one I was battling with.
Throwing Copper's got to be in there, dude. That is a seminal mid-90s record. Because that band didn't sound like anyone else. They had this spiritual aspect, sort of, and this... Like, the thing that I loved about the fucking 90s and the mid-90s especially was that people were trying everything. People were signing bands that just sounded good. And if they had... And, they had to have drums and guitars and stuff, but they could sound like anything. And if they had passion and they moved you, you'd get a record deal and you'd get a shot. Whereas it ain't like that anymore. And it wasn't really... It was kind of like that in the decades before, but there was something that broke after Nirvana and the grunge thing happened where it was so... Like, you had to sound like a handful of the other bands. Like, there was fucking hair metal. If it didn't fit into the hair metal scene, it wasn't rock. And then suddenly... rock was like, that's why Oasis is a good question to bring up, because it is rock, just because it doesn't fit into the box that, like, maybe it's not Deftones and it's not Allison Chains or Incubus, but that's the best thing. They all had unique voices. And you could like all of them, and you could share records, and like Offspring. Did Smash come out in '95, or was that?
No, and I was about to say that is one of the reasons why Throwing Copper did not make this playlist, because I believe it was technically released in '94.
Oh, okay.
So, but your other albums, the ones that you're talking about, you're talking Green Day, Insomniac.
Yeah, Insomniac, One Hot Minute, and Frog Stomp. I think Frog Stomp was released in '94. Frog Stomp was released in '94.
All three of those were released in 1995. So the songs that I've chosen from those three bands, let me scroll through. So Green Day I picked, you got Brain Stew, Jaded, which unfortunately you can't, the way at least we play it on the radio is that's one song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So unfortunately Spotify doesn't link those two together. And then the other song off of Insomniac was Geek Stink Breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I just picked the Aeroplane and My Friends.
Dude, that was My Friends is one of the first songs I learned on acoustic. Yeah. I played that at a school concert. Yeah, and it's funny because I on my Patreon I have 2 high school performances, but that one I didn't get a recording of, which sucked. And I remember it was the first time I had a massive fuck up on stage. It was my second high school performance, and I was there playing the line, and it's actually quite simple, but it took a little bit of time to learn it. And while I was doing it, I was so focused, my guitar strap broke. It fell off the thing because I remember I wasn't getting the part, and I pulled the guitar neck up to myself to see and focus more, and the strap fucking fell off. And then I had to do I had to literally do like a sensei yoga position where my foot was up on my knee so I could put the guitar up here. Yeah. So I was like old sensei shit, and then I could play it. So I spent the entire performance balancing on one foot to hold the guitar up because I didn't want to stop and I didn't want to sit down for some reason. Yeah, it was like, yeah, fun story. Moving on. Back to the. But this is a good topic because this brings back memories, and these albums are fucking great.
Oh, trust me, we've barely scratched the surface. And the one thing I'm going to do with this is, since this is going to be our first podcast of February, I'm going to do a new year at the beginning of every month, and then we can kind of cover that topic on the podcast. So we can kind of go over one specific year. So for this one, for February, we're doing 1995. And my question for you, I put in Tomorrow.
Yes.
On the playlist.
Yes.
That's the only one I've chosen off of Frog Stomp because I wanted what other 2 songs, because I think I was going to say I was going to max it out at 3, but there's no way I could do that with some of these albums. Like with the Presidents of the United States of America.
They had so many.
There was 4 songs. There was Lump, there's Peaches, there's Kitty, and Naked and Famous. Great song.
God, they're all such good songs. Dude, I learned one of those on the stream, and I was shocked how simple it is. Those guys, I think those guys were like high school music teachers that just decided to make a stupid band, and it paid the fuck off.
Dude, they are... I'm pissed they're not still around. Like, they're broken up, but I got to see them at this... It was called the WOW Hall down in Eugene, Oregon, and the WOW stands for Woodsmen of the World.
Right.
And it's kind of like... It's one of those Elks Lodges or something like that, where a bunch of old dudes go hang out, I think. And so they played there, and it was just this like party atmosphere with the Presidents of the United States of America. Yeah. It was fantastic.
They're a perfect beer drinking band.
Oh hell yeah! Perfect. It was a great party, man. It was truly like having a house party.
Yeah.
Anyway, so pick 2 other songs off of Frog Stomp, and I'm throwing into this playlist.
Well, you'd have to pick Israel's Son and Pure Massacre. Those are the 3
All right,
main songs.
So Israel's Son is going in, and Pure Massacre is going in. Because those were I was saving those ones for you. But listen to some of these other albums that came out in 1995.
Bring it.
Smashing Pumpkins.
Fucking hell. Siamese Dream.
No, Melancholy and the Infinite
Sadness. So Siamese Dream was 94.
That one, I personally, I respect the Smashing Pumpkins. I do think they make good music, but it's not necessarily like I find myself. I will skip past it just because, to me, Billy Corgan's voice can be a little bit much. But then there's other times where I'll listen to it, a bunch of times over and over again. I guess I got to have him in chunks.
I hated Smashing Pumpkins when I was a kid. I hated it, and it might
Yeah?
have been and it might have been because I was just closed-minded. But I had started on Eddie Vedder and Kurt, and then Silverchair, which was like a mash of the two of them. They didn't really have their own voice on Frog Stomp. They sounded like Nirvana and fucking Pearl Jam, but that sort of deep voice was like rock to me, like or whatever.
And then you had Billy Corgan coming in. He's like a whole octave up.
I just found it annoying, and I remember there were people who were like rabid fans of Smashing Pumpkins. I remember there was a girl who I had a crush on. I found out she was into Smashing Pumpkins. I didn't have a crush on her anymore because I'm not going to associate with someone who has such poor taste and standards.
Well, that album has the most out of anybody on this playlist.
The most hits? Oh no,
because
but
Bush,
let me finish.
Bush
Let me finish, because otherwise people are going to think I hate Smashing Pumpkins. I love Smashing Pumpkins now, but it took me. I had to listen to The Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness as a whole one time to realize, he's kind of a genius. It's pretty fucking like they've got their own voice, they've got their own style. And then when they did the what was the follow up to that one that had the weird bench stuff on it?
Let's see here.
It was.
I'm not up on nuts. My Smashing Pumpkins.
It was the album after that got me into it. But anyway, yeah. So I am a Smashing Pumpkins fan, but I wasn't at the start. That voice does start to grind, and I remember it can be
a little grating on you.
I remember thinking when I started to figure out what my voice was going to sound like, and I found Brandon Boyd, and I was like, that's a perfect example of you can listen to that voice for a long time because it's a very good voice, but also it's very round and soft and it still can push and all that sort of stuff, but it didn't go too nasal, but it wasn't cliche, sort of like, that
he wasn't doing the Vedder.
Yeah, and he sounded like he was really himself and he didn't really give a fuck. So I was like, that he was really my pinnacle of like, I learned all those songs and tried to sound like him as much as I could at the beginning because I thought you can listen to that voice for extended periods of time. You could put on 2 albums in a row as long as the songs are good and you can fucking dig it.
Yeah, some of these albums on here. So Smashing Pumpkins, they got 5 songs that I put on this playlist. You've got Tonight,
yep.
Zero, Bullet with Butterfly Wings,
yes.
Muzzle, and 1979. All those songs made it. Some of these albums I had a difficult time limiting myself. Like White Zombie, again, that's the reason I picked 1995 as the year, because I bought that album and I listened to that goddamn thing. I mean, front to back, over and over and over again.
I didn't.
So it was difficult to narrow it down.
Right, because I didn't get into that record. I knew More Human Than Human, and that's all my education was on White Zombie.
Oh man, everything on that album. So the only 2 that I added from White Zombie from that album, and I can change this again. This is a fluid situation. Yeah. It was More Human than Supercharger Heaven. Some of the other bands that made it on here as well. Radiohead. The Bends came out in 1995, so I added a couple of songs from them on there. Rancid.
Wait, which songs? Which songs from the Bends?
High and Dry and Fake Plastic Trees.
Cool, I can dig it.
Rancid, they had, and Out Come the Wolves, that came out in 95. So I added Time Bomb and Ruby Soho. So this is a very eclectic rock sort of album.
I forgot about Rancid, man. Rancid were hardcore. They looked and felt like you just don't fuck with them. I don't know what they were really like, but their image and their vibe was like,
right?
Don't fuck with them. They sounded like they were going to kill someone.
What else on here? Oh, and there's Garbage, their self-titled album that came out in 1995. So of course the big hit off of that one is Only Happy When It Rains, which I think everybody knows at this point.
Yeah.
But there's one big album. I want to see if you can guess who it is. It was a band's debut album in 1995.
Oh, Smash.
No, it was not The Offspring.
Okay, hold on.
Let me find it. I think The Offspring came out in 94.
Dude, 94, 95 that's a good fucking
quite frankly, I think I'm excited to try it. Like 92, I think is going to be a big year for this, but we're going to have to eventually start coming to all that stuff.
Okay, so I'm trying to think.
When did Smash?
Who came out in 95 and blew shit up?
Yeah, Smash was 94.
Okay. Yeah, 94, 95 was when all... Green Day was obviously around for a long time before that, but... Is it Blink?
It's still, and they're still one of the biggest bands out there right now.
Is it Blink? Oh, Rage. No. Fucking no.
No, Rage
was
already had an
91.
album at that point.
Rage was 91.
Yeah.
La 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 la. Oh, it's gonna give me one more second to try to figure it out, and then I'm gonna give it up. But I know it's on the tip of my tongue. There's still a big band. Oh, Foo Fighters.
The Foo
Fighters.
Yeah, nailed it. Debut album came out in 1995, man.
Excellent. Dude,
so a few songs made it from there. I'm double checking. No, Rage was 92 with the self-titled album.
Yeah.
And then we can fast forward to 96. That's when Evil Empire came out. Because I got really excited for some of these bands where I was like, oh, I get to put this in there and I can put that in there. And then I found out, oh, shit, those didn't come out in 95.
Yeah.
Like they came out.
You got to go to different years.
94.
This is going to be good. Maybe we should have started at 90. Just to have some chronology. Like you could do literally, if you started at 90 and then went through to 2000, that's the year.
I would almost even go to 89. I don't think I'd start at 90. I think I would even go to 89 because that was when, like Nine Inch Nails' first album was 89, wasn't it?
I don't know. When was Guns N' Roses 89 or 88?
No, Appetite? I think are you talking, I think Guns N' Roses was 87.
Okay.
Hold on here. I'm pulling up Nine Inch Nails. It's interesting how
92 was the Downward Spiral.
Yeah, Pretty Hate Machine was 89.
Downward Spiral was 92. 92 was where I think 92 was where things really shifted.
See, that's what I'm saying. No, further down it was 94. Yeah, Downward Spiral was 94.
94. Okay.
Yeah.
But Nevermind was 92, right? I'm pretty sure Nevermind was 92 because I've got that in my brain for some reason.
Let me look here. In Utero was 93.
Yeah. So.
And then.
Christ, that means Nevermind was 91.
Nevermind was 91. Yeah.
Yeah, because they.
Yeah. See, I would be willing to go back to 89. I think.
Okay. Well, let's do it. Let's start at 89, and then go to. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's start.
Well, so we've already got
95.
We've already got 95 in there.
Yeah. So, but the Foo Fighters album, what was their first album called? It wasn't self-titled.
It was just self-titled.
It was? Okay.
Album.
So what were the songs off that?
I got This Is a Call, I'll Stick Around, and Big Me off of that album.
Okay.
And again, so if anybody wants to, and this is going to help us wrap up this podcast almost on a perfect timing here. So if anybody wants to, if there's a song that was on an album that was released in 95 that you think should be on the playlist, you can always shoot me a message at The Real Brandalorian.
Actually, you know what we should do? Throw it in the comments section on the YouTube video. Throw it in the comments section on the YouTube video because then we can see them and everyone else can see them and it'll stay in the one section. It'll help the algorithm. You smash the like button, all that sort of stuff. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. More technical problems. And then, yeah. So I think we get people because people have been commenting in the YouTube section when we ask these questions. So I think we should.
So if you're listening to this on like Spotify or something like that, head on over to Shim's YouTube channel. It's just Shim Moore, and you'll see the playlist with all the Rockstar 101 stuff in there. And when you get there,
just go to this one
with this video. Comment. Go through the playlist. First of all, find the playlist. You can find it over on Spotify. Search me, The Real Brandalorian, and when you get there, you'll find it's just labeled Rockstar 101 Best of 1995. Yeah. I think is what I labeled it. I have it literally right in front of me. Why don't I fucking know that? Yes, Rockstar 101 Best of 1995. So go ahead and think about it. These are some of the bands with their first albums that year. Like you had Filter and the Foo Fighters and Presidents of the United States. Or maybe they had a previous release, but these were the big ones that were coming from these bands. Silverchair, Frog Stomp was their first album, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was. Oh, and just this is look. Dawn and Darlene, this is just for you, okay?
Shit.
I included 3 songs off of Van Halen's Balance because that was Van Hagar. So just for you guys, I made sure to include 3 songs. Right. But if there's another song that you guys want added, by all means, fire away. And you can't say add the whole album. That defeats the point. I had to limit myself when it came to White Zombie.
Yeah.
You got to limit yourself when it comes to Sammy.
I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people that have picked the last song off a bunch of these albums that are like, dude, that's like the opus at the end or whatever. That's the deep cut. Everyone's got their deep cut favorites. But are we on next week's podcast then? Are we going to be following up this and continuing to talk about this? Is there any more?
I think it's later in the month.
Cool. Excellent.
Later in the month, we'll do that. And then we'll start. This episode's our first one of February. And then as we kind of build towards the end of February, I'll start looking at the 89.
Yeah, we'll get 89.
And then we'll start doing that. And then we'll start going in chronological order. Because originally I was just going to bounce around. I was going to say, I started with 95. Let's put a poll up and people can pick the next year that they want done. Yeah. But I kind of like the idea of, going chronologically. And starting with 89. And then every month, at the beginning of the month, that will be the episode of Rockstar 101 where we're going to kind of discuss the best of 89 and then the best of 90 and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's a good idea, brother. Well, that being said, what else is there?
We got to thank our supporters. A big thank you to all of them. If you ever want to be a supporter of the podcast, you can. Just go to anchor.fm/Rockstar101. And a big thank you to Victoria and Chevy and Veronica and Kathy and Taryn. Thank you all very much for being supporters of the podcast. And you can always find us on the socials. Shim is over on Twitter. It's at Shim Moore. You can find him on Facebook. It's just at Shim. Any of the platforms you can find me, it's Twitch or it's Reddit or Instagram. It's at The Real Brand Florida.
Anything else? We've also got to make it that you run those down in a voice. I got to pick a voice next time. But anyway,
what?
You got to run those down
in a voice.
In a voice. But anyway, until next time, his name is Brandon. He's the DJ.
His name is Shim. He's the Rockstar.
Oh my God, class.
I don't know what that was.
Class dismissed.